I thank the chair. The Bush administration is about to open up our national forests to a new phase of road building. Now, in preparation for commenting on this, I had my staff check, because the last time I checked with the Forest Service, they had an $8 billion, not million, $8 billion backlog on maintenance on federal forest roads. Hundreds of thousands of miles of roads crisscrossing the United States, the West, and yet they have an $8 billion backlog. Now, Forest Service yesterday said, no, the Congressman's wrong. It's not $8 billion. We've just recalculated it. And I thought, well, this is going to be good news. It's $10.5 billion. The Forest Service has a $10.5 billion backlog on Forest Service roads. Of the 382,000 miles of roads, only 21% meet their maintenance standards. 50% are declared unsafe for driving, and 50,000 miles of roads are missing from the data. They're unclassified. They might be there, they might not, they might be passable, they might not. They haven't had a chance to go out and look lately. Yet, they're proposing, under the Bush administration, to begin a new phase of road building. How's that? Well, we heard a couple of weeks ago, they're going to uphold the Clinton roadless rule. And I had some folks in Oregon say to me, well, we can't believe that. The Bush administration is going to uphold the Clinton roadless. I said, well, you know, there were an incredible number of comments on that rule, over 2.2 million, 600 public meetings. It was hard fought, well constructed, well thought out, and it was very popular among most folks in the western United States. And yet, you know, I said, you know, right, it does seem unusual. Well, it turns out, no, they're not really going to uphold the roadless rule. They're immediately going to put in place exceptions for the Chugach and the Tongass Forest in Alaska, 300,000 acres, except 300,000 acres of timber harvest with roads in the Tongass Forest will affect well over 1 million acres of land with fragmentation and eroding and other problems, perhaps even more. And of course, there's the expense that comes with that. And then in the lower 48, they're going to have a national policy, sort of, except they're going to develop an exception process where governors can ask for exceptions on federal lands for the roadless rule. What kind of national policy is this? And at the same time, they're staring in the face of an over $10 billion backlog, which they have no intention of dealing with, because, of course, there's no money to deal with thinning or fire protection or even fighting forest fires, and particularly low on the totem pole is road construction. Every year the road maintenance money, every summer it's stolen and used to fight fires, and they don't put the money back and they never get around to it, and the backlog has grown by $2 billion since this president has been in office. The roads are unsafe, they're crumbling, they're causing all sorts of problems with erosion and into pristine streams. They need culvert work. They'll erode worse without the culvert work. And yet this administration wants to go on another road building binge to fragment up the little bit of remaining roadless area in the United States, just like Gail Norton recently said that all of the wilderness areas under study by the BLM would no longer be studied for wilderness values. The Forest Service, under the direction of this administration, wants to make certain that they put in enough roads before this president leaves office to fragment that up so those areas can never again be considered for roadless or wilderness designation. This is wrong-headed policy at the wrong time. This administration should do what it said it was going to do, uphold the roadless rule in all the states, and then it should begin to deal with the very real needs of the Forest Service, to deal with its maintenance backlog. Some of these roads need dramatic amounts of work in the short term. I have some in my district that have been promised for several years. The roads washed out in floods 5 years ago would be rebuilt, and yet the money, as I say, each summer has been taken away and spent on fighting forest fires because there's not enough money in the budget to fight forest fires, because, of course, the administration has no money because they've given it away in tax cuts to all the rich people. So this is a pretty strange way to run a country and make a policy on federal lands that are so precious to the heritage and the environmental future of our nation. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Washington is recognized for 5 minutes.